Today we're taking a trip down memory lane back to 2005, and I don't mean with a razor to make it look like I'm 8 years old again. I mean with a few custom LEGO Star Wars sets that really remind me of the good old days. Republic Brick sponsored this video and sent me a custom Vulture Droid, a custom Droid Tri-Fighter, and two different custom ARC-170s, a classic and a Munilist 10. The Munilist 10 came pre-built for me, so that one I've already got here. Having built all three sets myself now, I figured I'd start out with my least favorite, and that's the Droid Tri-Fighter here. This one's 50 bucks with 349 pieces. Not bad at all in the world of custom sets. However, it's my least favorite for a couple of reasons. Like, as far as if you want to buy a custom set, makes the least sense to me. It looks the most like its actual LEGO versions here. I mean, this is pretty similar. I mean, there are definitely differences, don't get me wrong. And this is certainly, in subtle ways, a slightly better, more tiled off, bulkier model than what we get from LEGO. But this one is missing that printed piece, and it's also missing the stickers. And it's just kind of weird to see a naked Droid Tri-Fighter to me, because my only experience with them are the, smaller LEGO ones like this, and so seeing it without any of the markings is a little bit odd. But it does have the weapons and the eyes, and it definitely has a nice look to it, right? It's definitely got it down. You can see the engines at the back with the bright orange. Everything looks pretty good. Let's see how well this function works. Looks like these open up nicely. Not that you should ever really buy a custom set as a play set, but that function where you could put a buzz droid in there, or maybe one of the rocket battle droids, yeah, definitely seems like it would work. My true gripe with this set, though, is an odd one, and one that doesn't seem to affect the finalized model at all. Once you're done, it's fine. It doesn't seem you don't even know what I'm talking about. So you can see there's some studs here, and so in the instructions, you're supposed to put studs on all three of these points that jolt out, but you can see this one, I didn't put studs there, not because they were missing, but because it's physically impossible. It has weird slight extensions in there that block off enough to where you just can't put more studs on all three sides. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but definitely a thing. Yeah, not too bad, 50 bucks. If you need a Droid Tri-Fighter, these ones, I looked them up, used probably 40 and under, new probably 70 and up. But this one kind of falls into the custom trap where it's similar looking to what they used to make, and worse in some aspects, better in others, so it's kind of a wash there to me. And then more importantly, the pricing of the old ones just isn't exorbitant, and so that makes buying this where it's in the same price range, it's well, I'd rather just have the LEGO one. So here's the Vulture Droid. It has 205 pieces. This version costs $35, and there's also a tan kind of episode 1 version that costs $30, so a couple different colorways on this one. But I do really like the look of this one. I think it's more of a mock feel for a set here, and it only had one issue for me. It had a inverted piece that's supposed to go there. You can see that kind of curves in. This also curves the same way, but it should really curve the other way. But outside of that, it's a fantastic looking model. Definitely suffers from custom joints where you can have weak parts that'll fall off, but they are really nice details, and that's what you're really looking for on custom sets, I feel is that extra level of detail that you can't get with an official set. What this one can do is, obviously the wings are together. You can have them in more of an attack mode. It's kind of a weird system here with these ball joints you can see. Definitely not something I've ever seen in a real LEGO set, I think, where they use ball joints to do something like this, but it's cool. It kind of works, and it really feels more realistic in a way to Star Wars. I feel in the movie when they move out, they're a little more fluid, and they kind of flow into their position. So I kind of like that, just a small thing. But yeah, the color of it looks really nice with the dark blue slightly integrated into the grays. The face on the Vulture Droid is also a great part where you have the two red eyes, and then you can even lift this whole head up. It's also on one of those ball joint pieces. You can lift it up, move it around. You can have it in different positions, a lot of maneuverability there. I think that looks really nice. You can see the underside, quite a simple model. And then it can also stand like this, except it's a little bit tough to get the whole body thing to angle. And you'll see that piece that I showed was easy to fall off earlier. Fell off. So this is one of the best walking or standing poses I can kind of get this guy into. I definitely think it looks better in its flight mode, but for people that are kind of into this, it's definitely a much more fluid look than I think a lot of the LEGO ones have. Now for the ARC-170 models. I've got two here in front of me, and then he told me a couple online are also under 100 bucks at $99 with the Shadow and the Wolfpack ARC-170s, but this is the classic V2 and it's 120. This is the Munilist V2 and it's 140. I think these These are definitely the better looking ones and certainly the more prominently featured ones in Star Wars for people. Now, these do have 643 pieces. However, that cannot be true for both, even though that's what it says on the website, because the Munos 10-1 has a few more pieces here. I'm not sure which is the accurate piece count, but either way, that's kind of your ballpark. Anyway, these are really good looking, and the ARC-170 in particular here gives a pretty good reason to buy with its cheaper price. Like, everything's really good quality on these as far as like the pieces go. I might have had a few used pieces when I built this one, but you know, for something that's custom, I think that's acceptable. We'll be going a little deeper as far as comparing goes in a little bit, but this was one of the first Republic Bricks models I ever reviewed and definitely had more issues than I had on these 3 sets in this video combined. But these ARC-170s do a lot of things right. The first of which I want to point out is the windshields on this guy. My frame of reference, and many of ours probably for a long time, has been what LEGO used on their sets with the same exact windshield for all 3 of the pilots on the ARC-170. However, it turns out if you look at the source material, the 2 back windows are certainly a little more flat and they feel wider, but like they aren't kind of thing. And so definitely a more accurate look here with the custom models with these flatter windshields at the back. And it's a small thing, but I was really surprised that that was the right way. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that can't be right. You know, this has to be right. No, it turns out I believe this is much more accurate, which is kind of a nice thing to see. Same thing, of course, will be carried over here on the Munos 10 model. Looks very good. Definitely took me a minute to get used to though, because I was just so used to this look, but I think it's a pretty good look at the end of the day. Now, obviously on the Lego model, you can fit the full astromech droid in there, but on the custom ones, you can't. You can really only fit the head on top, although with the way that it's done, you can easily turn it 360 degrees, which is kind of cool. And then if you want to take one of your pilots here, well, not included in the set, of course, these don't come with any figures, but if you want to include a clone pilot, you can put them in a seated position. And there's a pretty good view of the cockpit. You can see a tiled piece here for the front one. The ones in the back don't have any tiled pieces, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you can drop a pilot in there and you'll be good to go, which looks pretty cool. Very 2005-esque there. And then we'll pull this one up. This one's just connected with that piece there. And we get another clone pilot, plop him in, and we are good to go, ready to take off. Like, I think that looks really good, especially with the 2005 clone pilots. I mean, you fill in whatever you want if you get one of these, but it looks awesome with those pilots in there, and I think it's a really clean look. When it comes to the rear-facing cannon on the back, the 2010 model has a much wider range of motion versus the custom model, and it's also a bit longer looking, maybe less detailed. I definitely prefer the look of this, but definitely prefer the motion on this one. The back in general, though, on the custom one is significantly better looking and more finished off. To be fair, this is from 2010. They haven't really made a model since then, but definitely some major improvements here, and having done away with that play function underneath definitely cleans up the look on the backside as well. For the siding of the cockpit, you can see very clean look with many different pieces versus the 2-piece look of the Lego model, which I definitely am starting to prefer the more brick-built detailed look here. Another thing I gotta say I love about the custom model is just how clean this area in here right behind the intake looks. The reason the Lego one is so messy though is because they're working in like a rubber band feature to be able to pop open the wings and stuff. Like, I get it. It makes sense. It's not more of like a display geared model. It's a play geared model versus this more of a display with kind of play as an afterthought. And so it's definitely a different mix of features and looks depending on what you're going for. Like, this looks awesome. This definitely looks good for a Lego set. And don't worry, we're getting to the Munos model just in a moment. The other thing the custom one does really well, you can see this green bit here. Not a lot. It's a sticker. Definitely don't love that it's a sticker. It's kind of brick built onto this. Looks nice. The nose is also killer on the custom model versus the 2010 model. Just a much cleaner, straight look. However, it definitely uses illegal Lego building techniques. They would never do what this model does to achieve the look. You can see that singular stud there, and then you kind of connect it at an angle with this piece to make it work. Like, it works and it looks awesome, but you would never get that in official model. But that's what custom models are for, right? Breaking the rules. The wings that open up, they're just on hinges, no rubber bands, nothing special, so you can definitely pop them out kind of wherever you want. I guess the only other good thing I really have to say is just how sturdy these wings are. Like, they are pretty sturdy. They're not weak at all. They don't feel too flimsy. They don't feel like they're sagging off, which is a huge positive. Definitely something that the official models had some trouble with over the years, and this one doesn't even have the cannons come down to the ground to hold it up. Like, it's pretty straight
on its own. Now for $20 more than the custom classic at 140 bucks, you can get the Munilus 10 V2, and I wanted to compare it a little bit to the V1 that Republic Bricks sent me like 2.5 years ago, because you can see some massive changes in the design here, like hugely different, and also like the color scheme in general. I think this is just a cleaner look with more white integrated into it. Maybe could have used a little more dark blue in certain areas. I don't know, maybe finish out that stripe. I have no idea. I didn't really also look at the source material for the Munilus to see what an accurate paint job looks like, but this looks good, and this also can look equally good if you're into it. But what I really like about the newer versions of the custom ARCs is the engines. The engines on this were ridiculously dumb to build, and then to like keep them straight, because they can get bent pretty easily and just get out of shape, and weird stuff can happen because it's just like an odd way to build something like this, versus this is just a clean, 8 pieces and you're done for the front of it, versus like 40 pieces. It just made no sense here, and so I'm so glad that they went in and redesigned it and changed it up to a much nicer look. So it's one of those things where I feel like they've come a long way in making a model that actually makes sense from a lot of perspectives, and even like the Munilus face on the front I think looks much better on the newer one. The old one looks a little bit derpy, to say the least, but at the end of the day I think these custom ARC-170s present a really good value at 120 and 140 bucks. I think sealed in the box, I didn't look it up, but they go for like $200-300. So if you want an ARC-170, these are not bad options, and they don't feel as derpy as I remember this one feeling to me. It was like kind of a worse version of this. This feels like it's a different take on that, and I like that, and it's also got some real nice aspects of it that make it more accurate. And like I say with custom sets, not a play set, don't buy it for a child, but if you want something for a mock or something for a display, that's when these really shine, and it's something that LEGO hasn't made since 2010. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this custom LEGO Star Wars set review, leave a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and check out more custom LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.